If we had been together last Sunday in worship, we would have heard the gospel story from Luke of Jesus calling his first disciples. That story takes place on the lake of Gennesaret, which is also known as the Sea of Galilee. And that's where Jesus did much of his public ministry. Here is a map that shows us that area at the time of Jesus' ministry. And you can see, I'll give you a minute just to get oriented to the map, but Galilee is, as you know, kind of up at the top in the green, right next to the orange Phoenicia. So it's way up at the top. You can see it's kind of between two bodies of water. The smaller body of water, the larger body of water up at the top is the Sea of Galilee. To the right of the Sea of Galilee, you can see Gennesaret. So sometimes the Sea of Galilee is called Sea of Galilee. Sometimes it's called Lake Gennesaret. It has different names. At the left part of Sea of Galilee, you can see Capernaum, and that's where Jesus lived during his public ministry, his 3 years of public ministry. That was his base of operation. Now, if you look down lower, you can see a big red dot, and that's Jerusalem. So you can see there's a kind of a distance between Capernaum and Jerusalem. Actually, it's about 85 miles, according to Google. So in the story of Jesus calling his first disciples, Jesus was standing by this lake with a large crowd of people gathered around him. They wanted to hear him. They wanted to hear the word of God, hear what he had to say. Jesus got into a boat that day and he went out on the lake. He got into the boat that was owned by Simon Peter. And he asked Simon and he was in the boat as he was speaking to the people. After a while, he told Simon to put out from the shore a little bit and cast his nets over to the side in the deep water. Now, Simon and his friends, James and John, had been fishing all night and they had not caught anything. So Simon was a little reluctant to cast his nets back into the water because, they had caught nothing all night. Why do it now? Yet Simon said to Jesus, "If you say so, I will let down the nets." And so he did. He put down his nets and he caught so many fish that his nets began to break. Simon, of course, didn't know what to think about the sudden abundance of fish that they caught. The only thing he could think to say was to ask Jesus to leave him alone because he, meaning Simon, was a sinful person. Jesus, though, had other plans. He told Simon, "From now on, you will be catching people." And indeed, when they returned to the shore, Simon and James and John, his partners, his fishing partners, left everything. They left their boats, they left their families, they left everything. And they followed Jesus. They had seen the miracle of abundance that God provided through the word of Jesus, and they wanted to be part of it. Now, today's gospel reading tells the story of another great crowd coming around Jesus to hear what he has to say. This time it's a crowd of Jesus' disciples and a great multitude of people from all Judea, Jerusalem, and the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And again, if you look at the map, I've already, we've seen Jerusalem is down to the south. That's in the land of Judea. Capernaum is up near the Sea of Galilee, in the land of Galilee. And Tyre and Sidon are actually in the land called Phoenicia. They're Phoenician cities. They're ancient cities, and I believe that they're still around today. They're not even in the land that was given to the 12 tribes of Israel, so they are foreign land. But the border between Phoenicia and Galilee was pretty porous. People crossed it back and forth, I think, frequently. We know from one Bible story, at least one Bible story, that Jesus himself went into Phoenicia. He went to Tyre when he really wanted to get away from everybody and be by himself. So it was not unusual for people to go back and forth. So on this day, near the Sea of Galilee, the great crowd of disciples and the multitude of people gathered around Jesus. It's as if his entourage had grown from those three first fishers. In a short period of time, it had grown to this huge multitude of people who wanted to know what he had to say. So Jesus and Simon have indeed started to catch people in abundance. The people, again, Tyre and Sidon, people came from Tyre and Sidon, and they were foreigners, right? So the people who came to gather around Jesus were a mixed bag of people. I would say they were motley. There was a motley crew. Some were outsiders, some were foreigners, some were Gentiles, some were united with the Jewish people only by their common experience of living under occupation by the Roman Empire. And as I said, it was easy to travel back and forth between the borders. No papers were needed, no documentation was needed. People just came and went freely. And to all of these people, these great crowds, these multitudes, those who are following Jesus and those who are seeking Jesus, all of these people, some local village people from around Capernaum, around the Sea of Galilee, some city people from Jerusalem, Tyre and Sidon, the foreigners. There were Jews and Gentiles gathering. We can imagine that there were children and young people and grown-ups and elders. All of these people are eager to hear Jesus speak, and they want Jesus to heal them of all their diseases and cure them of their unclean spirits. And they keep trying to touch Jesus, because when they touched Jesus, they could feel the power come out from Jesus. And then they were healed by Jesus. And Jesus responded to all of these people. He speaks to them. He touches all of them, even the ones that were considered unclean by the culture of the day. He shows all these people the miracle of God's abundance through his words and through his healing touch. He didn't stop to ask anyone what nationality or ethnicity or religion they were. He didn't care about age or gender or status. Those kind of social divisions never concern Jesus. He sees people in need. He blesses them and favors them. And he knows he has to act to heal them with his presence and with his touch. Jesus, of course, was on a mission, and he had only one mission in life, and that was to share the good news of God's abundant love and favor, God's blessing, with all the people that he met. And again, he didn't care who the person was. He shared that with everyone. Jesus came into the world to be the light in the world, the light that shines in the darkness, the light that can never be overcome. He came to lift people up and heal them and give them the peace that passes all understanding. The peace that Jesus offers us is more than just an absence of conflict or even a sense of tranquility. The peace that Jesus offers is so much more fuller than that. The peace Jesus gives to all the world is the peace of Shalom. Shalom is a Hebrew word that means completeness, wholeness, well-being, perfection. It includes healing and wellness. So that sense of everything is right with the world, all is full and complete and perfect at this moment in time. The peace of Shalom comes to us from being rooted in God. And we heard this in Psalm 1. Happy are they who delight in the law of the Lord. They meditate on God's teaching day and night. They are like trees planted by the streams of water. bearing fruit in due season. The peace of Shalom, that sense of completeness, of wellness, of wholeness, comes in and through our relationship with God, that relationship that is built on trust, as we trust God's promise of abundant love that is given to us through Jesus Christ. And so we can say that this peace of Shalom is a blessing. It's a sign of favor with God. And we heard this from Jeremiah. Blessed are those who trust in the Lord, whose trust is the Lord. They shall be like a tree planted by the water, sending out its roots by the stream. It shall not fear when heat comes, and its leaves shall stay green. The peace of Shalom is God's vision for the world. God's vision for the entire world, all the nations, the whole cosmos. It is the vision of all people living together with equity and justice and love, so that the abundance of all that God provides is shared equally among all people. In God's vision, none have too much and none have too little. In this vision, all are blessed and favored by God. We are, of course, not yet living fully into God's vision for the world, though sometimes we might catch a glimpse of it here and there. We are instead living in a time when the rich and the ultra-rich are getting richer, and the poor are getting poorer. Jesus has a different point of view. Jesus says in the gospel today, blessed, favored, blessed are you who are poor. Woe to you who are rich. We are living in a time when the leaders of our government have stopped working for the common good and instead work only for their own profit and gain. Jesus has a different point of view. Blessed are you who are hungry now. Woe to you who are full now. We are living in a time when we see people in great need, and we know as followers of Jesus, we must act with love and good courage. We must act to share the abundance of blessings that God provides, and we must speak out to share the good news that God's love is for all people through Jesus Christ. And Jesus makes this point. Blessed are you when people hate you and when they exclude you, revile you and defame you on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice on that day and leap for joy, for that's how the ancestors treated the prophets. We are living in a time when we are called to be the light of the world, the light in the world, to lift people up and make them well, and share with them the peace that Jesus offers, the peace that passes understanding. It is not easy work. And so today, may Shalom, peace, that sense of fullness, of completeness, of wholeness, of healing, may Shalom be with you as you go about your work to serve the poor, the hungry, and those in need. And as you share the good news of Jesus Christ in a world that desperately needs to hear it. And remember, as you go to do this work, you are blessed by God. To God be the glory. Amen.